welcome back to my channel. My name's John and I'm the Geeky Man. And today I'm back in Manchester city centre. Today's video I'm going to be walking along Deansgate from the south end to the north end, which is about a mile long. It's going to be the different historic sites, buildings, statues and plaques along the way. So let's crack on. Deansgate is one of the city's oldest roads. In Roman times, its route passed close to the Roman fort of Mancunium. The road is named after the lost River Dean. Until the 1730s, the area was rural, but became built up after the development of a quay on the River Irwell. I'm now stood on the corner of Liverpool Road, which joins onto Deansgate. And down there is actually where the Roman fort is located, which I do have a previous video on, so definitely give it a watch after this. But the reason I'm here is to our first point of interest. This is Beetham Tower. Now it's a 47-storey skyscraper and it was actually constructed and completed in 2006. It was the largest building in Manchester and also in the UK outside of London. That was until 2018. When the south side tower on Deansgate Square was completed. So let's crack on. So I'm stood on the corner of St John's Street and Deansgate's running just behind us. Now this area used to be known as Aldport Town and was a small settlement of around about 300 houses. To the left here is where Aldport Lodge used to be, and there's actually an interesting plaque on the wall. So let's take a look. So this was the start of the siege of Manchester, and the people of Manchester were actually in support of the parliamentarians. This was some of the first bloodshed that actually happened in the English Civil War. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cross the road and go to our next location. So let's get going. I'm just on the corner of Peter Street, which joins onto Deansgate. And the reason I've come here is to visit this particular building. So let's take a look. This is the Great Northern Warehouse. So time for some geeky facts. The Great Northern Warehouse is a former railway goods warehouse. It is a Grade 2 listed building. It was built above the Manchester and Salford Junction Canal, and a dock was constructed beneath to transfer goods to and from canal barges. The building could hold a total of 150 goods wagons across two of its levels, with the capacity for a further 500 in its sidings. Over 800 men were employed on the site. Today, it has been refurbished and includes a cinema, casino, restaurants, bars and a multi-storey car park. Interesting fact, Aldport Town actually used to be located where the Great Northern Warehouse stands today, and it obviously was destroyed to make way for the warehouse. Now across the way is where Quay Street is, and the reason it's called Quay Street is because of that quay that was built on the River Irwell. So let's crack on and get back onto Deansgate. I'm now at the entrance of Spinningfields Square, and as you can probably tell, it's one of the newer developments that's happened in the city of Manchester. This is not the reason I've come here. The building's just over there. This is John Rylands library, so time for some geeky facts. The John Rylands Library is a late Victorian neo-Gothic building. It is also a Grade 1 listed building. It opened to the public in 1900 in memory of John Rylands. Born on the 7th of February 1801, Rylands was an English entrepreneur. He was the owner of the largest textile manufacturing concern in the UK and Manchester's first multi-millionaire. The library is part of the University of Manchester. I'm just across the way from the library, as you can obviously see, and I'm actually stood in front of a statue of a gentleman I want to introduce you to. Now this is Frederic Chopin, and he actually was a Polish composer famous in the Romantic period. Now he visited Manchester in 1848 and actually performed in front of the largest audience he ever performed in front of. Sadly, he passed away around about a year after visiting Manchester. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through to the square that's just next to us and go and introduce you to another gentleman. So let's crack on. I'm now on Lincoln Square, which is just off Deansgate, and the statue of the gentleman I'm going to introduce you to may be a little bit given away by the name of the square. This is Abraham Lincoln, so time for some geeky facts. Abraham Lincoln's statue was sculptured just after the First World War. It is a reminder of Manchester's link to the American Civil War. In April 1861, Lincoln put a blockage on the Confederational States. At the time, Manchester was the largest processor of cotton in the world. Lincoln's aim was to outmaneuver the Confederational States, win the Civil War, and abolish the US slave trade. In Manchester and the surrounding areas, 60% of the mills were idle, largely due to the blockages. Mill and shipping companies were lobbying against the blockages, but in a meeting in 1862 at the Manchester Free Trade Hall, despite potential starvations, workers agreed to maintain supporting Lincoln. On the 19th of January 1863, Lincoln wrote a letter thanking the people of Manchester for their support. I've now come to the end of Deansgate, and our next few locations are actually not directly located on Deansgate, but it's a statue of another gentleman I want to introduce you to. This is Gandhi. Now he actually visited Manchester in 1931 on his way to visit workers from the local Lancashire mills. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our next location, which is just over there. This is Manchester Cathedral, so time for some geeky facts. Manchester Cathedral is a Grade 1 listed building. There is an angel stone, which is a small carving of an angel with a scroll, which is preserved in the cathedral. That also provides evidence of an earlier, possibly Anglo-Saxon church on the site. The former parish church started to be rebuilt in 1421. It then undertook extensions at the end of the 15th century and finally in the Victorian period. During the Manchester Blitz in 1940, a German bomb exploded a few yards from the northeast corner, severely damaging the roof and demolishing the medieval Lady Chapel. So inside the cathedral is actually a visitor centre,
And in the basement of the visitors centre you can actually view a scheduled ancient monument, and the monument's called Hanging Bridge. Now it was a medieval bridge, probably built between the 12th and the 13th century, and the stone that was used was actually taken from the Roman fort. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go around to the corner and we're going to have a look at a plaque of a gentleman that is highly influenced in this building, and then the next building we're going to visit. So let's take a look. I'm just in front of the plaque that I wanted to show you, so let's take a closer look. Now he was actually Lord of Manchester at the time, and he was actually the one who changed the cathedral, or the church at the time, into a cathedral and a collegated church. A collegated church basically means a church with a college involved, and that is actually going to be the next building we're going to visit. So let's crack on. And here is Chatham School of Music. So, time for some geeky facts.
Chatham School of Music was established in 1969 and educates students between the age of 8 and 18. The school is built on the site of Manchester Castle, a fortified manor house, and was established after the Norman conquest. Medieval Manchester grew around the manor house and parish church, which became the cathedral. When Thomas de la Ward reformed the church as a collegated church in 1421, he gave the site of his manor house for construction of the college. Building probably began between 1424 and 1429. It remains the most complete building of its type in the UK.
Just outside the entrance of the college, and also for Chetham's Library. Now Chetham's Library was established in 1853 and is a Grade 1 listed building. It is also the world's oldest English speaking public library that people are able to visit. Now it also has over 100,000 copies of printed books, and 60,000 of them before 1851, so extremely impressive. What we're going to do now is we're going to go around the corner and go and visit the next location. So let's crack on. And this is Manchester Victoria's train station. So time for our last lot of geeky facts.
Manchester Victoria Station is a combined mainland and Metrolink tram stop. Opened in 1844, it adjoins the Manchester Arena, which was constructed on part of the former station. The arena was built in the 1990s. It is the third busiest station in Manchester. It is also a Grade 2 listed building. The station was named Victoria in 1843 and designed by George Stephenson, who was a civil engineer and mechanical engineer during the Industrial Revolution and considered the father of railways.
I'm finally stood outside this garden known as the Glade of Light. Now, this is to commemorate the people who tragically lost their lives in May 2017 at the Manchester Arena after a terrorist bomb. Sadly, as I said, 22 people needlessly lost their lives in one of the darkest moments in Manchester's history. So this has been today's video. In my next video I'm going to be heading more into the central of Manchester, again discovering the different plaques, statues and historic buildings along the way. So until next time, peace above.